Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to a very special 100th episode of Speaking from the Heart. And this is such an exciting time for not only you, the listener, but for me, your podcast host, to be able to celebrate being at this important milestone that not many podcasters, especially starting out, ever get to achieve. And I've been really fortunate because it's almost a year since I started the podcast and I've already reached this important milestone. So I really appreciate the fact that I've had many of you continue to support me and follow along with this process. And I really appreciate your following and your listening to this important show, even today for that matter. Because today, I want to ask a question that I asked all the way back in episode 1. What is on your heart? And if you didn't listen to that episode and you've been following along because you came amongst the other episodes that have come out, I encourage you to stop listening now and go check out that very first episode, which set the premise for what we have gone through since 99 episodes since then of all the different adventures, not only that involve guests, but also what we have learned along the way. I can't tell you enough how many people have been touched by not only the show, but also by the fact that we've covered so many different types of topics overall. And I think that's really where we should start today. Where have we come from? Where are we leading towards? Then ultimately, I'll get back to that question of what is on your heart. I would have never thought in such a long time since starting this that I would still be doing this, to be honest with you. What originally started as a 3-month adventure that I was going to do, 90 days at max, really turned into something that completely changed my perspective along with my ability to become more confident in being able to help you succeed, not only in the personal matters, but the professional matters. No matter if it was public speaking or resumes or interviews, which we've talked about, or even early on in this show, but it's about what you can do to keep growing, not only in your vulnerable state, but in the things that you might be challenged in from day in to day out. I can only imagine what people feel when you start to learn and process all the different things that have changed not only your psychic abilities, to even the things that you have been through, whether that has been some dramatic things, including escaping the Church of Scientology, which you might remember from one of our episodes in which we had Catherine Spallino on, all the way to even dealing with domestic violence, which we had Michelle Westgate in very early episode, in which it was one of our very first interviews. Besides all those things that we have covered in between that, one of the things that I think is really important to start thinking about, even with all the things that we've covered thus far, is what have we learned? What is it that we're able to now do as a result of learning so many new things? I get it. We probably have forgotten all about the things that I've said, even in episode 3. But even if you remember all the things I said in 26, 52, or 74, I think that what is really important is that you understand that it's all about what you get out of those conversations. What only do you get out of this host that is talking to you right now, but also the facts, the figures, the statistics, the information that pours into your heart and soul. That is what is really more important than any sort of number, any sort of download, or any sort of ability to be able to become better in your overall worldview. It's all about understanding, though, how we can take this information and apply it to our everyday lives. And I think that our work, especially when it comes to doing that, is only just beginning on this show. Now, you might be asking yourself, just beginning? Josh, you're literally talking about doing 100 episodes. You should be having cake. You should be throwing up confetti. You should be doing the things that help you celebrate all these amazing things that you have done. But all along, this show has not been about me. It's been about you, the listener. What have you learned from not only the people that have been able to talk to me, but also what have you learned from the facts, figures, statistics all kinds of other viewpoints that normally you might not hear about. That is what's really more important than anything else. I think what I find really interesting about our conversations that we've had on this show is about the wide diversity of the different people that we've had. Everything from dealing with pelvic floors, which you might remember Paula Bruckner's episode, all the way to the people that do some of the most amazing things, coaching, inspiring, and helping others. Even dealing with happiness, for that matter. Remember Perrette, episode number 84? All these different things, all these different aspects in our lives can touch us in a variety of different ways, whether that is somebody that we know, somebody that we know through somebody else, or even ourselves and our immediate family. I think that's what's really more important than anything else, is to know that even after having 99 conversations, whether it's through me or through somebody else, it's about what we can do to ultimately achieve greatness in our lives. Greatness, though, is really a factor that we have to understand, not only in the context of what we can do, but what we have the ability to do in the future. You're right. Where's the music? Where's all the inspirational quotes? Where are all the guests that we've had? Why aren't we celebrating with all of them at this moment, at this juncture? Well, like I said, the work is only just beginning. When I recorded episode number 52, I was thinking that, wow, I'm more than halfway through. I know that I can continue to do this. I'm already feeling this sense of empowerment, the ability to keep moving forward, to keep seeing what is there at the distance, and keep on trying to encourage others through the words that we have on this podcast to help others get through what they might be going through. But something happened even then, which I've shared in other episodes, that I want to share with you now. The most interesting thing about this is that I'm recording this less than a week before the show actually airs, which of course you do that in the real production of any podcast or any show. You try to have as much content planned ahead as possible so that you're able to do some of the things that you're able to do in your daily business, whether that is actually running a business like I do, which, as all of you may know at this point, or if you're listening to this episode for the first time, this podcast is an extension of my coaching business, Your Speaking Voice LLC, which its mission is to help others find their voice in this ever-changing world. Whether you are figuring out what that voice is, I was figuring out my voice going through this process. And I will tell you that the biggest thing that I've been able to overcome is the imposter syndrome. Being able to know that I have this self-worth, to be able to share it with others, to know that I can introduce others to some amazing content, to some things that otherwise wouldn't be talked about on other shows. That is what really makes this the most authentic of all. Now, if you want to go ahead and sponsor someone else, or if you want to go ahead and say that this is ridiculous, Josh, you are not authentic, feel free to challenge me on it. But the real gist of it is that I've been putting off this episode for the longest time because I wanted to get a real sense of knowing what I felt as I approached this milestone, which is why I waited until almost a week before to give you my thoughts. This episode was actually meant to be something much bigger. I wanted to have more of a production with it. I wanted to have people's quotes. I wanted to bring back some of these guests, maybe even invite somebody that we haven't had on the show yet to have a little bit of a mini conversation that we would tie into this bigger message that we're having today. But alas, as I mentioned in many other episodes, I've been going through quite a fundamental change in my own life, having to move in different ways, not only in the physical sense, which I am closer to my office now, but also changing who I am so that I don't fear itself. Because I had been suffering from that even up to the point that I was starting to record this episode, and I immediately shut it off because I was still afraid of telling what was on my heart. That's interesting. You're afraid of telling what is on your heart, Joshua, but yet you've been sharing many different types of viewpoints about what is on your heart in a variety of different ways. I know it sounds silly, right? You might be even confused. What is it that you're actually going through in which creates this division inside of you? What is it that's holding you back from being able to really become the best version of who you are? I think that's really what I want to share with you today. I think that we often think about the most important things in our lives to be something that we really need to spend as much time as possible in achieving. Whether that's something that we need to do in terms of getting a job promotion, whether that means that we really need to focus on a relationship with someone else so that they know that we love them and care about them and we worship them and we cherish them. But then we also have the things that we struggle with internally. What is it that we give ourselves value in doing, in which we have that relationship with somebody else, in which we're able to create not only those opportunities that we keep talking about on every episode, but also talking about the things that we can learn from each other so that we can continue to grow and foster relationships, confidence, and determination, which, for those that are new, are also the 3 values of my business that I stand on with each of my clients that I have. I think what's really interesting above all of those 3 values is that even for me, I keep asking myself that question, what is yet to hold me back? What is yet to keep pushing me forward? What is yet to help me build not only the value that I have inside of me, but what I have yet to give in this giving world that we also live in? At the time of this recording, there's a lot of other things that are happening in our lives, which include even the stuff that you see in the news, the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsing in Baltimore, Maryland, the division that we see in our politics, the ability to continue pushing forward, knowing that the economic trials that we are going through at this very moment are very much straining the purses and the wallets of many Americans, maybe even others across the world for that matter. But yet, as I even look at the landscape of where we're at this very moment in which I record this, I see something else that's happening. Even more division and even more frustration, more loneliness, the inability to communicate, the ability to understand what other people are thinking, and being able to rationalize a conversation so that we're able to work through those differences. Even being able to understand what we are able to become, because what we're able to become isn't just about what we're doing, but it's about what we're able to do as a result of all the things that we're going through. As a matter of fact, I could even be one of those people that says that I was limiting my own ability to become better every single time that I tried to work on myself, and I see others trying to work on others as well. It's an interesting phenomenon as we continue to grow in ourselves that we also forget about ourselves. And that is what is really on my heart. What is it that we really need to understand then as a result of all these things that are happening? What is it that we can do to become better, to be able to understand and create the value proposition for somebody else to understand that we're able to create and worship our own selves to be able to then serve others in this ever-changing world? In other words, I'm going to ask again, how much is on your heart now as a result of going through this awesome process of transformation? Whether you are jumping on the bandwagon, starting here at episode 100 and moving forward and not looking back, or you're going to go back and listen to episode number 1 and go through hours of content that I've created, remember that it's about what you want to learn and what you want to absorb. It's always been my intention on every episode, whether I've had a guest or I've done a monologue, to always leave a couple nuggets of wisdom to be able to, for you to think about and rationalize and contemplate, whether that's through meditation, journaling, or other things, the ability for you to continue growing in the ways in which your heart is leading you to. For me, I can tell you of how many guests that have just changed my perspective overall, starting with even my best friend being the very first person I interviewed, Chris Hulse. If it wasn't for Chris, I wouldn't be alive. And I wouldn't be even doing this podcast today. And I've told him that so many times. If it wasn't for people like Tracy Tienkin, who changed my definition of not thinking about disability as a word, but thinking about it as being differently enabled, changes the whole landscape of what I am able to understand about what other people are going through, especially if I see it as a disability. By the way, I now see it as differently enabled. Or you could have a story like Len Trans, in which he escaped that communist nation and been able to survive, to get to a boat, to be able to come to America and live a dream in which he's able to not only inspire others through his own Breaking the Bricks book, but even speaking to others. Those are the kind of stories that allow me to understand that I have a world of learning yet to do and a whole world of understanding other people's perspectives so that I can grow not only as a human being, but to be a better coach for everyone else. The fascinating thing about the coaching industry, which is highly unregulated, is that anybody can do anything that they really want, and they don't really have to back it up with any evidence. Sure, I can go on and on about my 2 master's degrees, my ability to work in over 12 years in Toastmasters, to know that I'm certified in crucial conversations, and go on and on about all the different life experiences that I've already gone through. Oh, wait, did I already just do that? Sorry. But maybe I need to remind you that it doesn't matter what people go through. It's about what your willingness is to be able to change. It's about what is really on your heart so that you can change. And it isn't just about what's on your heart. It's about what you sometimes have to let go of in order to create not just those relationships, confidence, and determination inside of you, but the ability to unlock your voice in this ever-changing world. That has been the biggest premise of doing this show and helping not just myself, but helping you achieve that great value. Because you have always been the end in sight. How much will be on your heart even after listening to this? Are you still going to go back and look at episodes and think, wish I could be that type of person? Or are you going to go and listen to another person that's challenging themselves to become better, like Kanisha Hart, and go, that sounds great. I'm just going to sit here and just watch? Or are you going to actually lose that momentum that you have, which we talked about in episode number 79, and not do anything about it whatsoever? Are you going to try to communicate with the difficult ones, the people that never want to listen to you, because you are not listening to them? Maybe they feel the same way about you. But maybe you can be like James Marlin, episode number 64, in which we talked about his ability to keep moving content forward, because not only is it about the next generation, but it's about who he wants to be as a human being to serve others. That can be even more important than anything else too. I can go on and on. Neurodiversity with Leanne Firestone, episode number 58. We could talk about even my interview with the fact that even people that are going through so many different types of exercise fatigue, which includes even Brock Wallach, who we talked about just in the last episode, those people, they are not giving up. They are striving for something better. That is the reason why we continue to give and give and give. You can write books and take photos like we did in episode number 36 with Maya McGlynn, who has even helped me since that episode that we recorded to be able to work on my business, to see that I have a brand, that I have an opportunity to become something so much better than I am doing today. So what are you going to wait for? The next opportunity, like many of these other people that have been on my show, to drop on your lap? Maybe you want to be in that relationship that you can love. Talk with Jess Lynn. Let's talk to her. Let's talk to Melissa Kellogg. Let's address the fact that no matter what kind of whiffs that happen in your life, you can still start a business and continue to run that business for the betterment of so many other people. Or maybe you can just use your energy that you have, which we talked about in episode number 92 with Anna Schmidt, and see whether those scary apparitions, whether you want to believe that they're made in Hollywood or they're actually real, are holding you back. I can go on and on. But I think that the real point of doing this and continuing to do this is that there's so much more on my heart, and there's so much more on other people's hearts that need to be shared in this world that just wants to be listened to. You know, it's been a long road to get to this point, and I'm really proud of the number of people that have believed in the mission of this podcast and want to continue the conversation of what it means to be authentic. Having 6 to 7 figure coaches even on this show have been not only a blessing to myself, but also been a blessing to others. All the Toastmasters that have been on this show, all the people that do some odds and ends in business, like Matthew Rhoda, who since then has opened his own business, Lead by Example Marketing. These are the people, these are the stories that even after this point and moving forward, they have a drive, they have an ambition to just keep trying. And I know that sometimes trying can be hard, but trying in itself means that you have a radical opportunity to move forward, to make a choice, when sometimes choices are hard to make. I can't tell you how many choices I have yet to make in my business, which I have to say has been amazing to do and meet so many people, and I have only scratched the surface of what yet is to come. But when I look at all the people, all the inspirational stories that are out there, I am forever humbled. I am filled with joy and the satisfaction of knowing that sometimes even the saddest stories, even the saddest things that happen, can have opportunities to grow. I will tell you that there's many more episodes ahead, and I am so excited to be able to share them with you for the next several months, because there are so many of them that I've already recorded, and I can't wait to share with you the amazing content that we have. A lot of them are not only about what that journey of inspiration is, but it's about how they've been able to not only see what's inside of themselves, but to be able to speak from the heart with authenticity, conviction, and purpose. So how much is on your heart is really the question I want to address. I think that it's really about not only your purpose, but it's about your willingness to keep moving forward, regardless of the odds, knowing that people might not like you for who you are and what you're doing, but you still keep doing it no matter what. It's about not how hard you can get hit, it's about how you keep moving forward, as Rocky Balboa would put it. And I know that for many of you, this journey is only just beginning, just as much as it is for me. If you are sitting here and you are listening to this, whether you're drinking your favorite drink, you're working away at your job, or you might be even thinking about what are the endless possibilities after listening to this episode, I want you to know that the hope that you have is still inside of you. What is on your heart is an enduring question that we'll continue to ask on this show, that will continue to keep pushing forward, not only on the things that make up the values of my business, but we'll work on the things that will help you become the best version of yourself, which is ultimately what we all want to achieve. We all have that willingness to do it. It's just a matter of acknowledging that we have that ability to unlock what's inside of ourselves to just do it. If any of my guests have been any inspiration whatsoever, just know that those people are continuing to make a mark. Whether they have quit their business and shifted to something else, which I've had a few already do, or it could be even somebody else that you know that has been on this show and has inspired you, and you've formed that new relationship. I want you to know that there are people that will care about you and will surround you no matter what you're going through to create that opportunity that you have inside of you. It's just a matter of keeping that movement forward. What is next? Episode 100 is almost done, and the journey ahead in episode 101 and above is going to be the most radical opportunity for me to continue these conversations. So we're not changing anything. The monologue episodes are here to stay. The interview episodes are here to stay. My commentary, in which I give you some nuggets of wisdom, is here to stay. All the things that you have gotten to know about me in this show are only just evolving and growing. And that's what I want to continue doing with all of you, because I want you to evolve and grow with me, just as much as many of you have been following along with that evolving and growing process since episode 1. You have what it takes to become something of immense value. Whether that means that you have to deconstruct yourself to rebuild into something more amazing than you had been before. It's about what you are going to do with all this information that we have. All these things that we present to you is for your taking. And no, I'm not going to push you to do all the homework of listening to all the other episodes. Jump on now. Join us in this amazing opportunity to not only learn more about the human condition, but to learn more about what it means to go through these authentic conversations, to hear the raw stories of people, whether they're on the surface or they dig very deep. I want you to know that we all have a place in this world to share that awesome opportunity. You have that ability to convince yourself that what is on your heart can be shared to this world, that your relationships are very important to other people, that developing our confidence doesn't just mean listening, but by doing, and that determination has to fill our soul, to fill our heart, to be able to keep pushing forward no matter what. And no matter where you are in this world, which I've been amazed by how many countries that we are in as of this recording, the number of countries, which are dozens upon dozens. I want you all to know that no matter where you are in this world, there is a chance for you to be heard from, to be respected, to be appreciated, to be listened to. And more importantly, I want to make sure that I hear the thump thump inside your heart. Before I wrap up, I want to give a couple thanks to some people that have made this really possible. First off, I want to thank Michael Dugan, which he's been an inspiration, and you're going to hear from him directly in some future episodes from him in terms of not only what he's about, but who he is. But he's been doing the intro and outro for this show, as you've listened to every time. So I want to thank Michael so much for being part of this process with me. I also want to thank John Shuckman, host of the Real Estate Survival Guide, one of the top podcasts as of this date, for not only his inspiration, but the fact that he grew his own podcast from his own business of doing real estate. And if it wasn't for John, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So John, I know that we'll also hear from you in a future episode, but I want to thank you again for all that you've given me and allowing me to see what I have as incredible value to offer others. I also want to thank Melody Taylor, who's been one of my best friends, supporting me from the get-go when I had this first vision of not only the business, but also the podcast. If it wasn't for her, I would not be half the person that I am today. So thank you for not only helping me, Melody, but spending time with me to process some of the things that normally I probably should pay someone to do. But you've been listening to not only some of the things I've gone through, but also been a big champion of my business. But I want to thank all of you, the listeners, for supporting this show to getting to episode number 100, and to all my past guests. Because if it wasn't for you, I would not have what's on my heart, which is joy, compassion, and the persistence to keep listening to you, all the other hearts that are thumping in this ever-changing world. Thanks for listening to episode number 100 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart, thump thump, very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.